My name is Stephen Barstow. I'm author of a book Around the World in 80 Plants, and today we're talking about some of my favourite perennial vegetables, which are also featured in my book. We have one of my newest perennial vegetables, one that would have been in my book if I'd known about it at the time, but I'd only just discovered it and started growing it. It's a Ligularia. Ligularia fischeri from Korea, and it turns out to be a very important vegetable in Korea, which is grown in large greenhouses these days for the markets in the big cities. These big leaves, they're used as wraps for food. Mm-hmm. They're actually very mild tasting. Don't eat any Ligularia, because there are many species of Ligularia which are grown as ornamentals in the West, and many of them are quite bitter tasting, but this one is actually very mild. I bought the seed from a vegetable catalogue in Korea, actually.
Mm-hmm. Are some poisonous, or?
Not so much poisonous, I think, but just maybe a bit unpleasant tasting. Yeah. So could potentially be poisonous, yeah. So keep clear of it. It has these long loads of yellow flowers later on in the season.
Mm. But with the Hosta, you have to be careful to not be mistaken.
Yeah. Hosta, I can maybe show you the species which you can, or the family you can mistake it for. Indian carrots. These are Lomatiums, sometimes called desert carrots or Indian carrots, Indian parsley. These come mostly from Western North America, and were both kind of cultivated and also wild collected by the Native Americans in, say, in California and places like that. Mm-hmm. And the young leaves can also be used in mixed salads. They can be quite strong tasting, slightly bitter.
Oh,
yeah.
Yes,
very quite bitter. Yeah. So use in moderation.
Mm-hmm.
But they're mainly grown for the roots. Perennial. There's 3 different species here. 1, 2. This one's just about coming into flower. Mm-hmm. And then behind it, if we go up here, we've got this rather beautiful Allium that's in full flower now. This is a species of onion from the mountains of China. Its Latin name is Allium humile, and as you can see, it's an absolutely beautiful spring flowering Allium, which comes out before Ramson's Allium ursinum. You can use a few leaves and flowers in our salad. This one here is, I don't know if you remember the Mitsuba on the other side of the garden, which comes from Japan. Mm-hmm. This is a North American species in the same family, Cryptotaenia canadensis, which could be used in the same way. It's a woodland plant which can tolerate almost complete shade in the summer. Clover leaf here is growing as a weed basically in the garden.
It's a good nitrogen fixer.
Yes, good nitrogen fixer. This is a tuberous thistle, which has it's not the best time of year to harvest these, but it has quite large swollen roots in the autumn. Mm-hmm. But all thistles are edible, so no doubt you can use the root bases to that as well.
Tastes like?
It has a mild, good taste.
Milky taste?
Milky? No. Oh, like milk thistle, you mean? No. Oh, there's another Allium here, which is just about coming to flower. Another white flowering Allium. This one's apparently comes from the mountains of Lebanon. It's called Allium zebdanense. You can see the white of the petals just appearing. Another couple of days and this will be in full flower. So this is one of my favourite spring flowering onions. It's both beautiful and also tasty. A bit of that as well. A lot of Alliums here. It's going to be
your specialty.
My specialty, yeah. And another one here. This is Douglas's onion. So it has these very curly, whirly leaves. Allium douglasii comes from California. Douglas was a plant explorer. And this one here is another form of this Chicago onion. This one actually comes from it's a much smaller plant, divides very quickly. It comes from Oregon. I got it from a great guy, Alan Capula. He's a great plant breeder from Corvallis in Oregon. He found it on a mountaintop on the coast of Oregon. and it grows very well here. Great productive perennial onion. Another type of Allium victorialis, victriangle. I have about 6 or 7 of them from different parts of the range. Phlomis tuberosa is supposed to have an edible root. Not really very useful at this time of year. This is another Native American plant. This is Aster macrophylla from eastern North America. And then down here we have Crambe cordifolia. Do you know sea kale? Strand called. Often thought of as the king of vegetables. This is a plant in the same family from the Caucasus area. They're a bit strong tasting without blanching, as is sea kale. You can have a little bit in mixed salads. I didn't get around to blanching it this year, unfortunately. Next to it we have, this is a couple of small-leaved hostas. All hostas can be used. There's another one here called Chinese sunrise. There's a bit of that as well. And next to it again we have a couple of plants related to cuckoo flower, if you know that, cardamina, enkarse in Norwegian. This is a skogskarse, it's called in Norwegian. This is another one in the same family. Very tastes a bit like cress, a bit like wasabi as well. Quite strong tasting. Below you here you have a number of different, again these are different forms of cowslip. I grow them mainly for salads in the springtime. Gives a bit of a splash of colour. So it's a slightly different one. We picked a yellow one a bit earlier on, if you remember.
Looks like it's on fire.
Behind us here we have different types of mint. We have a collection of about 25 different mints, and they're all edible. So we'll just have a little selection here. We have some flowers of lady's mantle as well, which we didn't have before. Alchemilla. And a bit further along here, this is a violet, Canada violet, just about coming into flower. This is a Viola canadensis, which is my favourite violets because it flowers all the way from about this time, 20th of May, up until August, sometimes into September. We can sacrifice this one flower, don't you think?
Oh, yes.
For this salad. And we could take a few of the young leaves as well. Oh yeah, we have what they call ramps in North America. In North America at this time they have these big ramps festivals. It looks a bit like Ramsons or Ramsløk in Norwegian, but actually it's actually quite distantly related to the European Ramsons. These ramps festivals, they've become so popular that they're getting to the wild stands of this plant are disappearing, unfortunately, because of overharvesting. Okay, this is actually the confusion species to Hosta. It comes a bit earlier in the spring. This is veratrum. I just grow it really just to illustrate the differences. I don't know if you can see here. Let me take off a leaf. If you look at the nerves, the nerves of the leaves, they go all the way from the tip to the base. Whereas with Hosta, the nerves go kind of halfway, not the whole way.
Okay.
So it's a very good way. This one's poisonous. Hosta is perfectly safe. So this is one of the confusion species in the wild in Japan, and they harvest Hosta and they forage it. There's very shallow soil here, so if I let these hazel, so it's really to encourage the undergrowth a bit more.
And you can eat the hazel leaves.
Yeah, and I use the coppice for sticks and stakes in the gardens for peas and things to climb up.
Yeah.
This is actually a stingless nettle called Urtica galliopsifolia. It has a few burning hairs, but not many.
Perfect for salad.
Perfect for salad.
Yeah. Is this edible?
This is actually another variety of Honesty, Lunaria annua, that we saw over there. It's kind of one with purple blotched leaves. Along here we've got a load of different chives. There's a small pink flowered chive.